You've heard the name. You've seen the logo. You've probably even tasted the crispy, golden chicken. But do you really know the man behind the bucket? The journey behind the smile? This isn't just a story about chicken. It's about a man who lost everything, again and again, and still refused to quit. A man who turned rejection into revolution. A man who became a legend in his 60s. This is the untold emotional story of KFC and Colonel Harland Sanders. And by the end of this video, you'll never see that bucket the same way again. Harland David Sanders was born in 1890 in the quiet farm town of Henryville, Indiana. His early life wasn't marked by privilege. It was marked by loss. When Harland was just 6 years old, his father, a hard-working coal miner, collapsed and died from a fever. In an instant, the family's security vanished. His mother, Margaret, had no choice but to work long hours at a tomato canning factory, leaving Harland, the eldest child, to raise his younger siblings. He didn't just become the big brother, he became the cook. Not by passion, but out of necessity. That kitchen became his first battlefield. Using whatever scraps they had, he learned to cook meals that could stretch, fill, and comfort. By 7, he could fry, bake, roast, and stew. He didn't know it then, but those long, hungry days were shaping a future icon. By the time he was 10, he was working on a farm full-time for $2 a month, just to help feed his family. By 12, he dropped out of school. He couldn't afford to sit in a classroom when there were mouths to feed. At 15, he left home completely, riding trains, sleeping in barns, and looking for any job he could get. He became a streetcar conductor in New Albany, then joined the army where he lied about his age to serve in Cuba. He returned and worked as a blacksmith's helper, a railroad fireman, a tire salesman. He even studied law by correspondence and briefly practiced as a lawyer in Arkansas until he got into a courtroom fistfight with his own client. Fired. Again. He tried ferrying passengers on the Ohio River, managing a steam engine, selling insurance, operating a ferry boat. He even started a lamp manufacturing company that failed when a competitor outbid him for a patent. He didn't have one failure, he had dozens. But here's what made Harland different. He never let failure define him. Where others saw dead ends, he saw detours. Every rejection was just a redirection. Every job lost was a lesson gained. He wasn't wealthy. He wasn't educated. He had no fancy investors, no influential family name. He had grit, he had fire, and he had a dream he hadn't even discovered yet. The chicken that changed it all. In 1930, Sanders moved to Corbin, Kentucky, and opened a gas station. Not because he had a dream, but because he was broke again. He noticed hungry travelers stopping for gas. So, he started cooking for them. In the back room, on his own table. His fried chicken, cooked with 11 herbs and spices, fried in a pressure cooker he customized himself. It was faster, crispier, and bursting with flavor. Word spread fast. Truckers rerouted their journeys just to eat at Sanders Cordon Cafe. But in 1939, just as his dream was taking off, the restaurant burned to the ground. Most would have quit. Harland? He rebuilt it brick by brick while living upstairs. Then, in 1940, he finalized the recipe that would become his legacy. From rock bottom to revolution. In the 1950s, disaster struck again. A new interstate bypassed Corbin entirely. His customers disappeared overnight. At 65, Harland Sanders was broke. No restaurant, no income, living off his $105 monthly Social Security check. But he had one thing left, his recipe. He packed his pressure fryer into the back of his car and hit the road. He slept in that car, ate in that car. He walked into diners uninvited, asking owners to just try his chicken. Over 1,000 rejections. Doors slammed in his face. People laughed at him, but he kept going. And then, one said yes, then another, and another. That's how KFC began, not with billboards, but with boots on the ground, not with marketing, but with a mission. By 1964, there were over 600 KFC franchises. That same year, Sanders sold the company for $2 million. He was 73 years old. But here's what most don't know. The secret legacy you've never heard. Phase the sale, Colonel Sanders became the face of KFC, but he wasn't happy. He believed the quality had changed. He once said the mashed potatoes were made with instant powder and called the gravy sludge and wallpaper paste. He even tried to open a competing restaurant called Claudia Sanders, the Colonel's Lady. In 1978, he sued KFC for misuse of his name. Imagine that, suing the company you built because it no longer stood for what you believed in. He didn't want to be rich. He wanted to be respected. He wanted the food to mean something, like it did when he made it in a kitchen behind a gas station. And here's a chilling fact. The original handwritten recipe is kept in a vault in Louisville, Kentucky. The spice blend is so secret that no single company makes the entire mix. 2 separate firms each produce half, so no one knows the full recipe. So next time you bite into a crispy KFC drumstick, think about the man who cooked through grief, who rebuilt from ashes, who started over at 65, and never stopped fighting for what he believed in. Harland Sanders wasn't a chef. He wasn't a businessman. He was a survivor, and he fed the world with nothing but grit and a dream. Don't forget to like this video if his story inspired you. Subscribe for more untold stories that history forgot. And in the comments, tell us, what's your favorite hidden story from history? We just might bring it to life next.